Hey everybody, this is Perch, and one of the movies in Marvel Phase 6 that people are looking forward to is Fantastic Four. Now, admittedly, I think they're looking forward to it with a bit of trepidation. We've had two versions of the Fantastic Four. One that did commercially okay, wasn't huge. I think Chris Evans as the Human Torch is probably most remembered and seconded by Jessica Alba, being the Invisible Woman and losing her clothes at one point. But the sequel or the second one bombed horribly and was just a confusing mess. It's hard to say if they were trying to adapt the Ultimate version. It's kind of like how to adapt an Ultimate movie poorly, unlike what happened with the Avengers. But we're getting a new Fantastic Four, and so a lot of commentary right now about casting. And the star, I forget the guy's name, but he was in You, is currently there's rumor to play Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. So I get a lot of questions like, who would you cast as a Fantastic Four? And what's weird about the question is that it always seems to assume that one of the characters is going to need to be, we're going to need to race swap one of the characters. It can't possibly be four white characters. There needs to be at least one race swap. We've had the Human Torch. We've had that now the rumor is it will be Mr. Fantastic or maybe Sue Storm, and some of the comments that have come from the studio seem to indicate that you will be surprised. What's weird is and I'm not reading into too much, but they go you'll be very surprised. They don't say you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's you'll be surprised. It's like Melissa McCarthy as the Thing. No, that's a low shot anyway. But so people ask me, like, what would you do for the casting? And to me, the answer is really, really obvious. I would cast it like the comics. I would try and find actors that look like the comics, and I would do that. That's what I would do. And the reason I would do that is because there's, decades of comics that are built up that, comic fans and normies, people who haven't read comics alike, will recognize that team. Just do that. I think the idea of like, well, we've got to race swap with them because you can't have four white characters running around is stupid. It's less racist than it is stupid, and it's stupid for a reason that I never have gotten a great answer from. Whenever I meet somebody who's like, no, we've got to include more representation. My question is, what about the representation we have? There are a lot. I mean, if I would argue that Marvel has a limited amount of well-known kind of crossover Asian characters, Latino characters. They have some. I'm not saying there's zero, but there's not a huge amount. I mean, when you're into Latin characters, you have you've got America Chavez, you've got Robbie Reese, Ghost Rider. You certainly have several others. Sam Alexander, in theory, Miles Morales, sort of. Not sort of, but I mean, half black, half Mexican. You don't have any huge leading Latino characters. You do not have that problem with black characters. You actually have really great black characters, a lot of them, in Marvel. And so my question is always like, why don't you do more with them? And then you start to think, why don't you do more with them in the comics as well? Here's something that baffles me, because I think that black characters in the Marvel Universe have largely been done pretty dirty because they either, get largely ignored or they get pushed into roles that are just completely, the antithesis of what their character is. So they don't show up well, or they get put in adventures that are pointless, that don't matter, that don't fight kind of major threats, but instead do quirky little side adventures that are quickly forgotten. When they said we're going to do big things for Storm, if you want to do Storm, who's a major iconic character connected absolutely to the X-Men, what would you do with Storm to give her the highest possible profile? You'd have her lead the X-Men. That's what you do. That is the highest profile gig in that comic book universe, no matter what you do. They've got Living Planet Island, you've got Mars terraformed, you've got all this stuff. The role that is seen as the leader or the head of the X-Men is the person who is literally the leader of the X-Men. That's Cyclops. They're also doing things around the Quiet Council, and they do that kind of people who pick at our table. But honestly, those adventures don't build up the character. It's like political intrigue. It's like, oh, is Mystique gonna try to manipulate the old Exodus over there? And would I don't know that like who cares? I mean, what you may like those stories. I don't mean to dismiss it, but in terms of a high profile character moment, you're the leader of X-Men. You want to do something huge for Storm, make her the leader of the X-Men. You've had 2 Hellfire Galas now, electing a member to the X-Men. How about you elect Storm to the leader of the X-Men? That's how you help that character. Luke Cage. What would be great for Luke Cage? Yeah, a comic where Luke Cage is out there doing something really cool, fighting a villain where he has to struggle a bit, and fighting a recognizable villain. Not like, hey, here's a guy in some body armor who's got a gun that shoots laser blasts, and Luke Cage has to go, sweet Christmas. I'm just getting some formula for my daughter who never seems to age, and now I'm having to fight this loony with a gun. I'm going to spend 4 pages on that, and then some people are like, Luke Cage, you're the man. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, I got the formula, and Jessica Jones is going to be like, damn it, you put mud on your suit again. That's the comic. Like, what? How about a real threat? With Black Panther, can we give him a comic where he's not, there's political intrigue in Wakanda, and I don't know if he may need to, there's a, uprising within his nation, and he's trying to gain control. Like, fuck. How about, here's a better idea. Ultron decides that he needs some vibranium to, build his robot army. And so he does a fallout assault on Wakanda, and Black Panther has to repel Ultron. How about that? Yeah, that would be a good 6-issue arc. The problem with a lot of the Black characters in Marvel is they give them nothing to do. You give Storm a character with a great power set, good look, all kinds of iconic character. Like, let's make her Queen of Mars in a planet that we haven't really explained why it's important at all. And she half the comics she winds up standing around not doing too much. Every now and then she gets some action. Oh, she's going to fight in a little arena against a character that okay, it's done in one. Luke Cage, it's like, I know, let's make him the mayor. And then when we make him the mayor, let's go ahead and strip away his entire personality so that you can have J. Jonah Jameson or hell, even the Kingpin saying the same things and it wouldn't matter. We're just going to have him in a suit. Luke Cage is going to look kind of pissed off. Oh, it's tough work being the mayor of New York. Okay. I'd rather be fighting, it's funny. It's like, I'd rather be fighting the Sinister Six. Fuck, me too. I'd also rather you be fighting the Sinister Six. Can we get that? I mean, you go down the line of Black characters in the Marvel Universe, and they have terrible adventures. This Photon series. So Monica Rambeau, a character, as you know, if you listen to this channel, I like a lot. This comic they've got her in sucks. It's like, there's some kind of quirky thing that could destroy all reality. It's amorphous, and we need to write this comic. I saw saying it's like, we write this comic so that people who are not into comics can appreciate and love it and really appreciate the adventure. That's why we wanted to do something different. Okay, so you write a comic for Monica Rambeau, appealing to normies who don't read a lot of comics. And in it, you have Monica Rambeau go through a multiversal travel through time and catch up with Dr. Druid. Yeah, Dr. Druid is a great character if you're trying to, appeal to normies who don't read a lot of comics. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. You can go over and over and over characters, and it's character assassination by and large. If you're Black in the Marvel Universe, you get shit all to do. You don't get to fight the major villains. You don't get to have real story arcs. You get nothing. And so when the question comes up, hey, don't you think for Fantastic Four we should recast some of the characters to be Black? That way we, have a white-only team. No, how about you actually just take any one of the amazing characters and do a movie of them? Black Panther made a lot of money. It was a good movie. Black Panther 2, but Black Panther did well. Hey, why don't you make a Monica Rambeau movie or, 6-issue Disney Plus series, 6-issue, 6-episode, whatever. Why don't you try that? Hey, here, quick quiz. Falcon Cap in the Marvel Universe, what's he doing right now? He has his own solo comic right now. What's he doing? It's Captain America. Is he fighting the Red Skull? But he's fighting White Wolf. Okay. He had a crossover with Deadpool? All right. He's going to be a member of the Avengers, but not the leader. And that's fine too. But I mean, give these people something to do. Christ. Marvel is amazes me by having a huge assortment of great Black characters in their company. But there's Prodigy over at Miller World has a better sequence of events and story than the characters of Marvel have, who have been doing this for 50 years in some cases. Like, what are you doing? It's just bizarre to me. Bishop, a really cool character. I know, let's do a 5-issue limited series where he gets pushed off to a different version of the multiverse where all the X-Men are Black. Why? Here's a better idea. Rather than whatever the fuck they're doing with Sabretooth, have them like Sabretooth escape from the pit. We don't know how, but he's super dangerous. He escaped from the pit. It's like nobody escapes from the pit. He's off on a murdering spree. We can't get to him. There's only one person who can track him down and save the day using both detective skills and brutality. And it's you, Bishop. Bishop versus Sabretooth. 5 issues. Go. Do that. Give the characters some iconic things to do rather than Luke Cage is a mayor. Wah, wah, wah. Like, it's crazy to me. So, yes, just cast the Fantastic Four as they are. Take some of these characters and, do something cool with them. Anyway, there you go. I don't know. Am I honest? It feels crazy to me that for all the talk of, diversity, they give these characters just shitty stories. And the answers to doing better is like right there. Hey, Luke Cage, he's fighting, I don't know, he's fighting the Sinister State. He's fighting some of Spider-Man's villains. They're in New York. Why not? And he's doing a good job. He's like taking them out. And then suddenly he runs up against the Sandman. And Sandman is like, I'm tired of all this bullshit. And the Sandman just starts wailing on Cage. And Cage is like, uh-oh, this character, my unbreakable skin and super strength doesn't really help me against a guy who's sand, and he could actually kill me here. I better figure out a way to solve it. I mean, there's an idea. Anyway, thanks for listening.